So in this video, I'm going to talk you through the basics of 3 different styles of pointing for beginners in the game. Because once you start to play petanque, you'll see people with all different styles that they have, whether it's a high lob, whether it's a rolling point, whatever the case may be. You'll see them holding the ball in all sorts of different ways, some of them with their thumbs off, some of them with their claw, anything. It's different ways for different people. It's the way the game is. But there are 3 basic styles of pointing that you need to know and you probably need to master in the game of petanque as a beginner. The very first one is what I class as the halfway point. So you have your jack here, you have your ball here, and halfway is where you want to be landing your ball when you're throwing it. So you just throw it up a little bit of half height, about head height, it lands, it rolls, it ends up hopefully close to the jack. That's the first most basic point, and that is the point that almost everybody starts with. Now, it's very easy to do that particular point. It's not necessarily very easy to be consistent with it. So you might let go of it in a funny way. You might let go of it a little bit too high, a little bit too low. You might throw it a little bit hard. Maybe you throw it a bit too soft and it goes, puts on the ABS and it stops 2 meters from the jack. You look embarrassed. Everybody has a little chuckle and you think, I'm never going to do that again. So this is a very good way of training this particular style of shot. We're going to go through 3 different shots. The first one, we have the jack here. We have the circle. It's back here. This is just over 7 meters, about 7.5 meters. So the halfway point, I'm going to step it out. There's 7 meters. There's 6, 5, 3.5. Halfway point is around this sort of area here. So what we're going to do, we are going to use some markers for you. We're going to take some of the foliage, just so that you can see. This is approximately the halfway point. So we'll start off. The 3 ball. All we want to do is throw it. Now this is going to be about shoulder height for me to land. I'll demonstrate. Unfortunately, the leaf has chosen to blow away right at the wrong second. That's not too bad. And that one's not too bad. So the whole point is, with this, we have 3 landing spots. 1, 2, 3. They're all roughly in the right area. But if you don't come up and fill in your landing spot, which I deliberately didn't do there, you can get 3 totally different reactions. So let's try this again. Different set of ball, same area. That's a much better result. Now this is what you've got to get into the habit of. Coming up, addressing your landing spot, filling it in, very important. You do not want the ball to be landing in a bad landing spot and kicking off. That's run off slightly. Now what was the reason for that? First landing spot that was really good was there. This was a couple of inches to the side. So of course it went a couple of inches to the side. And that's pretty much exactly what I wanted. As I said, got the markers here, which is the leaf and the ground. So that's the first shot. This is the demonstration of different techniques within the game that you can do. The second shot is the rolling shot. You see an awful lot of people play this from a crouch position. Now, if you've got bad knees, you don't want to be messing around with a crouch position. Not only are you going to be struggling to get out of that position, but it's going to be uncomfortable whilst you're in that position. So how do you adapt your shot? I'm going to demonstrate this and talk you through basically the rolling shot. Now the rolling shot, we are not playing bowls. You do not release the ball out of the front of your hand. You still play it with backspin. You still play it as if you are rolling the ball to get closest to the jack. Now this shot is very different because with the first one, it's all about percentage. You're throwing the ball halfway, it goes the other half. It ends up near the jack. This one is about weight. Now weight is very different and it's something you really have to tune yourself into for different distances. The rolling shot can be really effective at 6, 7, 8, maybe even 9 meters. Not so much at 9 meters, maybe 8, 8.5. Once you're heading into the 9 and 10 meter distance for a rolling shot, it's far more difficult to control your weight. It's far more difficult to control the actual reaction to the ground when it lands, because you have to throw it with that little bit more force. So that can then produce not such a great reaction in the ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to play 3 ball from a crouch position, talk you through what I do, how I do it. Then I'm going to play 3 ball in what I class as the granny position. Now, I am a granddad, so there's nothing wrong with saying things like that. But it is a phrase that is used a lot in the game for people. It's slightly derogatory, but it is where you see a lot of slightly older players like myself who will adopt this. So let's start off with the most basic shot first, which is the crouch point. And the way you play this is, obviously, you go into a crouch position. So you line up. The most important thing with playing from a crouch position, if you're right-handed, line your right foot up towards the ball. That is the line. Now for this one, instead of landing halfway, I'm going to land about 25–30% of the way. And then I've just learned from that. I haven't thrown it hard enough. There's quite a bit of gravel area there, just where I was thinking. So I either need to throw it a little bit harder, like that one, or a little bit further up, like that one. So that's a demonstration of the crouch position. Now we'll move on to a totally different one. So you can see here, first, second, and third landing positions. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to play it with a bent over stance. Still playing exactly the same way. I want the ball to roll through. But as you can see, now I'm bending over. So the pressure is now on my lower back. It's not necessarily on my knees. Still playing the same ball. A little bit hard with that one. Better with that one. And all this is a bit of practice in your game, trying to work out what shot is best for you. Now, that shot on this terrain, for me, is not necessarily the best shot. But each terrain has different skill sets to it. And you have to adapt your game to that particular terrain. So what I'm going to recommend, that I'm going to do, which I'm just going to show you now, is what I call a Demi-Porte, or a half lob. So it's not a full lob, it's not throwing the ball up into the sky and is it ever going to come down and bang, and it lands and it spins and everyone goes crazy. This is a half lob. A half lob is great because it cuts out the majority of the terrain. So instead of like with the rolling point where you're landing about 25–30% in front of you, the half lob, sorry, the half point is when you're landing halfway to the actual jack itself. The third one, the Demi-Porte, the half lob, is when you're landing about 70% of the way. This cuts out an awful lot of the terrain, which means if you've got lumps and bumps and undulations, you're not going to be affected by those so much. So let's look at exactly the same here. What have we got here with our cochonnet and with our boule? And then we're going to go back. We're going to address the terrain. We're going to see where is the best landing spot for the shot that we've chosen. Looks like the jack is not quite where it was. So let's move it a little bit. Now this is good again because I'm just preparing the terrain. I'm just looking. Now you can't do this in a game, of course, but this is only practice just to give you a demonstration. So I'm going to be looking to try and land around this area here. Again, we'll use the foliage just to demonstrate. We'll even put a circle in there. Don't know if you can see that or not. Try and land the ball in that particular area. And that's a good start. So here was the circle I drew. There's my first landing spot, just inside the circle. So it's worked well. My choice was good. The boule was good. This is the most important thing. And again, right in the circle, ended up in a good place. That one's run through a little bit. The important thing is, as you can see, I'm landing in the area that I said I wanted to land in. I'm getting the outcome that I'm particularly looking for. I'm throwing the ball quite gently. It hasn't got tons of spin on it. It hasn't got loads of arm action. It's just a little lift, just a gentle lift that goes up high enough to come down soft enough to run through a little bit. Try the same again. And what I'm going to do with this one is a little bit more height. Hey, there we go. This is what can happen sometimes if you try to force a point. Put a lot of spin on that, landed outside of my landing spot. And again with that one, you see, what I'm trying to do there, trying to force more height onto the ball. Now, my natural shot at this stage of my life isn't forcing the ball with a super lob. It's throwing a very soft hands point, like I did with the first 3 ball. Now, I deliberately wanted to show you that because a lot of people try to withdraw from bank accounts they haven't put enough deposits into. Now, the deposits are the practice. Now, I could waste an awful lot of my time here practicing, trying to play like I did when I was 17. Long time ago, 40 odd years ago. I can't play like that anymore. Don't have the flexibility in my shoulder anymore. Don't have the flexibility in my hand anymore. Don't have the ability to come through and really attack the ball like I used to. I can do it, but I can do it maybe 3 out of 10 shots, maybe 2 out of 10 shots. And an awful lot of the time, I'm landing very short, looking very embarrassed, feeling very upset with myself. So why would I go for Hollywood shots that I know I cannot play anymore? I'm much better off playing the shot that I know I can execute and that I can execute well. And for beginners, this is really important because you may see these super lobs and go, wow, I wish I could play like that. But if you're 57 like me and you're just starting the game and you're thinking, there's no way that's happening. Now, it may not happen. It may well do. Don't let me tell you anything that you can or cannot do. You've got to experience it for yourself. You've got to put the practice in. The only real way of doing that is starting very young if you're looking at a super lob. Now, hopefully you've enjoyed this little selection of a couple of different beginner styles of pointing. And if you like this, you're going to love this video.